Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. Today I'm joined by 620 CKRM Regina Agri-News Director Ryan Young, as well as the Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hirsch. I'm Doug Falconer, Agriculture Director at GX94 in Yorkton. And first of all, this week, once again, the Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada cuts that were announced last week when it comes to jobs as well as some research sites is still making news. It's kind of hit the House of Commons, Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. The Deputy Minister of Agriculture made an appearance before the committee defending the cuts and defending the justification for it, which was just to try to find savings, and especially when it comes to operational costs. Some conservative members of the committee obviously not liking that. A lot of questions related to, well, couldn't you find savings in a more meaningful way in this area? Or if you try to fix something to make it more efficient when it comes to the buildings at the research farms, would you be able to find savings that way? So a lot of debate around that. And then yesterday, Federal Agriculture Minister Heath MacDonald was also in the committee. He mentioned, interestingly enough, some of the deferred maintenance costs at these research farms under the previous Conservative government, or the last time the Tories were in power, as one of the reasons why they made the decision to close these sites. The costs were an estimation of $700 million, according to Heath MacDonald. So that's quite a large number for deferred maintenance costs. I can't imagine what needed to be fixed at these sites, but nonetheless, that was one of the reasons he cited for that decision, and had a little bit of a back and forth between Tory ag critic John Barlow. So some interesting comments from recent ag committees, and I wouldn't expect anything less in future meetings.
Kevin, your reaction to the fact that it finally seems to be making some news in Ottawa, these cuts?
Well, at least it hit the House of Commons Ag Committee, which indeed you would expect that to have happened. And certainly the Conservative opposition raised some valid points and valid questions about allocation of funds and whether the cuts to Ag Canada research were really the most appropriate way to find savings when the government seems to spend some strange money on some strange other things happening. But I'm afraid this is all going to fade away. The government seems to be in no mood to change its mind. There seems to be no indication of reconsideration. I think the best that can happen is that the commodity groups and those with an interest step up and say what they can best salvage and how to best structure things going forward, because it seems like we're not turning back from this decision, and I don't expect it to have the longevity that we see with other issues. Unfortunately, over the next year, things will be wound down, positions will be terminated, and then the question is, on some of these sites that have been closed down, like Scott and Indian Head, who will pick up the option to buy those lands? Will another government department? Will a First Nation? Will the provincial government? Will it go for open tender? So there'll be things to watch, but I don't think we'll be watching for a turn back in the decision.
Also this week, there was a Young Farmer Summit held by Farm Credit Canada in Regina. And Ryan, you had a chance to listen in on some of the people there as well.
That's right. It was held at the Queensbury Convention Center here in Regina this week. Some of the guest speakers included Evan Shout with Maverick Ag, Sage Walker, who's a two-time Olympian for Team Canada, grew up on a ranch in southern Alberta, as well as Dr. Tom Deans. He's an author and speaker who specializes in farm wealth transfers. Talking afterward with a couple of people from FCC, one Graham Crosby, who was also one of the speakers. He gave an outlook, and as well as Jason Fisk, talking a little bit about some of the things that Evan Shout was telling attendees. And kind of the theme of his presentation was just about, the opportunities that come with, being a young farmer and the up and coming next generation, given that, we got advanced technology, we got pretty much everything at our disposal here. Farms are becoming a little more complex, but nonetheless, there's still quite a bit of opportunity available despite some challenges. as well as a host of other things as well, having a CEO or kind of a leader mindset when it comes to running a farm. It's also kind of needed given in this current climate. So those were some major things that was talked about by Evan. And then when it comes to Graham Crosby, you just kind of gave an outlook on the global market. Make a long story short, the chaos that's happening right now on the trade front is unfortunately here to stay. So he told attendees, like, manage what you can manage in an unpredictable world, because that's pretty much all we can do. So kind of a summary on the Young Farmer Summit. And usually these events, they're held across Canada, and generally there's a lot of good positive feedback that comes from these events. So nice to have it here in Regina.
Kevin, it's good to have these young farmer summits for the next generation. They have a lot on their plate compared to those of us that are a little older.
Yeah, farms are certainly evolving, especially the large farms. And Maverick and Evan Shout is associated with Hebert Ag Ventures, Christian Hebert, and the large farm at Fairlight, Saskatchewan. And that's one of the very few large farms that really is in the public eye and working with others to try to increase the ability for management skills. If you start having a workforce with a number of employees, you need a better structure as to who's in command, who's responsible for what, and the bookkeeping side of it, and the decision making you have to make. People like spending time on the seeder or in the combine, but by the same token, the real valuable stuff is sitting in the office, making the deals, doing the strategizing, and dealing with human resources as farms get bigger. And rather than working on your farm, you should be working, or rather than working in your farm, you should be working on your farm. And that's what the whole CEO mindset is part of. And kudos to people like Evan Shout to keep pushing us that direction.
Kevin, you also had a story for us this week on the livestock price insurance program.
And that's one of the things that producers need to look at. If you're a cow-calf producer, do you spend $80 or $100 or $120 per calf to lock in a very, very profitable price for this fall? Or do you just put that money in your back pocket and say, no, calf prices are predicted to remain strong? But I really like the program. I think it serves a valuable purpose. I wish it was cost shared like crop insurance and some of the other programs to make the premiums more affordable. And you can see why $100 or $120 per calf is a big stepping stone. But when you're guaranteeing a profit in the thousands of dollars, it still seems to make some sense to at least look at and consider what that program can do for you. And I always, now that the program is opened up near the beginning of February and quotes come out 3 times a week, I encourage producers to look at that and check out lpi.ca and see what the program can do for them and understand how the program can work.
Also this week in Regina, a big announcement, Ryan, regarding Bunge Canada and the Regina Food Bank.
That's right. They have a long-standing partnership, and they announced a new initiative, Bunge Farmers Feeding Families Initiative. And as part of that, Bunge Canada is committed to providing the food bank with up to 105 metric tons of lentils that's grown around the Regina area here and processed at their facility in nearby Belle Plaine. So that's good news for the food bank and anybody who uses the food bank for their needs. Lentils, obviously a staple in many diets around the world, and especially as newcomers come to Canada, it's a staple in their day-to-day eating as well. They use it in a lot of recipes, and it's a good story here. It'll especially be used with the food bank's partnership with public schools. They have a bunch of food programs as well, so the lentils will be heavily utilized in that regard as well for various recipes. So overall, a very positive story, and it's a good thing that a big company like Bunge Canada is really helping out the communities that they're in.
And another market for lentils, right, Kevin?
Well, I think that we have to more and more show people that aren't used to lentils how they can be used in various recipes, from soups to brownies. And a lot of the people using the food banks probably are not new Canadians, and lentils weren't necessarily a part of their diet. So probably a part of this needs to be a bit of education on how this nutritious, high-protein pulse crop can be used in diets, and certainly a great donation and on behalf of Bunge.
And finally, we wanted to talk a little bit about a meat plant that's under construction and very nearly done construction in the Purdue area. So I guess that's just west of Saskatoon. That's something you were following up on, Kevin.
Yeah, the Saskatchewan Stock Growers sent out a notice that come to their semi-annual meeting. I think that's February 27th at Dakota Dunes, and they mentioned that there was somebody going to be there talking about a new meat processing facility. So I tracked that down and found out it was the Sunnydale Hutterite colony that already has a provincially inspected abattoir and provides a lot of meat provincially. But they're building a federally inspected plant, a multi-species plant that can do beef one day and pork another day, or sheep or bison. And when it's a beef facility at 100 head per day, that's a sizable facility. And that would be the only sizable federally inspected beef plant in Saskatchewan anymore. There are a couple of pork facilities in Moose Jaw, but that's the only beef one, and that is a significant one. It's not of the size that we see of the two giant plants in Alberta, but still very significant, and the plant will either buy animals to process there, or if you want to keep control of that meat and market it yourself, they're also open to that option. So this was something that I came out of the blue. It's been in the process, and they've been building it for quite some time. Hope to open it this summer, and that's really big news. It's really been kept under wraps all of this time. So exciting to hear more about it at the semi-annual meeting of the stock growers coming up.
Sounds good. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. On behalf of the Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hirsch, and 620 CKRM Regina Agri-News Director Ryan Young, I'm GX94 Yorkton Agriculture Director Doug Falconer, saying so long until next time.